Hi, Kathy. Hi, Sue. We're a few minutes early. We're not bad. I guess you guys can hear me showing green and good. So hopefully we got a great connection today. Hi, Ann. I'm just checking a couple of things and I'll be right back with you guys. Yay! Hopefully everything stays nice and green on my end today and on yours too. Let's see. One more thing. There we go. Hey, Jamie. Hey, Yolanda. I said hi to Kathy and Sue. I don't know if my mic was on when I said hi to you guys. We're still a few minutes early. But I am going to go ahead and play the intro and then we will get started. Hey, everybody. I just thought I would come on and say hi to you and ask you guys if you ordered any of the everyday iron-on in the mini samplers or if you got any of the mesh. I'm going to try these out. I like the idea of these just because sometimes I just need a little bitty tiny piece and I don't want to break open a whole roll or cut off a big piece of my iron-on to do like a little bitty logo or something. So I think these are going to come in handy. If you guys haven't gotten any of these to try them out, grab some over at cricut.com and the links are down below for that. And this is the new mesh. I have got a project planned for this, but I haven't done it yet. I just got this yesterday. So I will do, actually, I was hoping the Saints went to the Super Bowl and I bought Saints colors, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to use it anyway. So first of all, let's go over to, well, not really Design Space, but my Design Space monitor. And we'll go over some stuff. I mean, I think it's a great idea, Sue, for the little sampler packs just for those little bitty tiny projects, or even onesies, because you don't need a whole roll. You just need a small piece for those. I think that's going to work great. These are the little football boxes. These are the ones that Kathy did. This was her interpretation. Really like that she went with the print and cut. On mine, I did the Ben-Day dots, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is the basket weave. Kathy may know the name of the folder that she used. I used the Ben-Day dots on mine, the Cuttlebug folder. But she used the basket weave, and I really like the way the print and cut came out on these here. That is one way of doing them. Of course, you can do anything you want. If you want to follow along and you want the file, if you go to craftingwithapril.co, here is the file for the logos. And all you have to do is download that and upload it into Design Space. And I am going to show you the size that I made mine, and so that you can make yours as well to fit on the box. Hi, Purple Paisley. Good morning. So make sure that you've got that. That's the first thing. And if you did not get the box, the file number is 127654203. There's a link in the description below. This is the box that we use to make these little snack boxes. So if you want to follow along in your Design Space, make sure that you go ahead and open up this file and get it ready, because we are going to be sizing it down to this size. And this is already sized. If you're a Patreon, you've already got access to this file on the Design tab. You won't be able to open this one with the file number because it's not public. I uploaded stuff to it, so you won't be able to get that one. And then this is the oval football box, and that is on the exclusives tab if you're a Patreon. If you're not a Patreon, please consider supporting me. I am going to show how this box goes together. You can create your own file, just like I created this one. So if you are a Patreon, make sure you have these files open, and we'll show you how to put those together and resize those as well. And let me just go over to the project camera. And this is the size of those boxes, guys. This is what we sized it down to. These are perfect for little cookies or brownies, or if you want to do like 4 of the mini cupcake holders and put nuts and candies and stuff like that in them for a Super Bowl party. That way everybody's not dipping into a bowl. I know if you've got kids and stuff like that, you know, sometimes their hands can get messy and they're dipping into the candy and the nuts and stuff like that. When you've got guests, you may not want them doing that. So these will come in handy. You can change the height of this box. And this is, you see my boo-boo, this was my mock-up. So I'm going to show you guys how to make yours line up properly. But I really love the way that that came out. And again, we have both team boxes. So we're going to make both of those. But before we get into making them and how they go together, let's look at sizing, so that you guys know how to size this box for other things if you want it to be a different size than this. So, okay, so we started out with this box here, which is 7 by 7 by 2.5. And we ended up, this box ends up to be right at 3.75 inches when it's finished. So what I did is I came in here. Now these may not be exact measurements. I will give you the exact measurements of the one that I have over there. But the first thing you want to do with this file is do a save and save this so that you can use this box for other things. And then you'll want to do a save as and save this box, because I'm not going to mess up that box there. That's a public file. I'm going to do a save as and just change it. So make sure that you don't mess up your original file, or either you can duplicate it and hide one, whatever you want to do. I am going to select all. Oh, right up here on the top, you want to select all, and that grabs everything, and then you're going to go to align, and we're going to center. And that's just going to bring everything into the center. And just so you don't lose any pieces, we're going to group it. Make sure that you group everything. Then I'm going to get a shape. And I want my overall size to be about 3.75. So I've got my square, and I'm going to change that to 3.75. That's the size I want my box to turn out. So I'm just going to grab my handle down here, and I'm going to start shrinking it until this is the lid, which is on the top. I have that sized right in there. So there we are. It's right inside all the score lines of the lid. And now I can get rid of that and ungroup it. And now this box has been sized down to fit into an approximate 3.5. The thing that you need to remember, and this is just an extra piece for a liner for the bottom of the box. You don't have to actually cut that one if you don't want to. I did not put it in the actual file because this box is so small I didn't feel we needed it. But when you're resizing the box, if it's a square box, just keep in mind when you resize for the 7x7 to this 3.75, you're also changing the width, how deep this box is, because everything changes together. So if you need to find out what your measurement is for that, you can grab a square, and then you're just going to line it up here. And you actually want to go on this one. This part right here sits up higher so that you can get, it's easier for me to show you than it is to explain. Let me go back over to that part of the box sits up higher, and that's to keep the lid from sitting down so low on the box. On this box, with it being smaller, if you want to shave that off, you can. It's not a big deal. But on the larger box, we kind of needed that little bump up so that the lid wasn't so close to the bottom of the box, just to give it a visual appeal. So that's why that doesn't meet up. It's not for any other reason, just to keep the lid to sitting up just a little bit higher. So if that makes sense. But to size it, to find out what size, we know it's 3.75, but how deep is the box going to be? We're just going to size a square down, and then you can look at the size of that square, and you can tell that one side is approximately 1.3, which you may as well say 1 1/4. And then this other, yeah, about the same. So it's going to be about 1 1/4 deep. Now, when you're sizing boxes that are not square, that are rectangular and other things, you have to be careful on your sizing, because sometimes this not meeting up is not supposed to. As you can see, it's bumped out a little bit here. It's not even. It's supposed to be that way. But when you want to make sure that, let me just undo that and get my square back. You want to make sure that when you size them, that your sides are going to meet up, that you're not going to have one that's 3 inches tall on one end and 2 inches here, because that's going to create a huge gap and your box is not going to line up and make a pretty box. Hi, Elise. So when you're doing a square box, it is just as easy and just as simple as that to size it. Just group it all, make a square the size that you want that box to be, shrink it down, and then ungroup it. Make sure that it's grouped. That's very important so that you can make sure everything is sized proportionately. Now, with the new design space, we were looking yesterday, Jamie and I, and we went over, I just wanted to point out, if you want to change the color of your box here, when you go up here to line type where the color is, you'll see a multi-line. If you click on cut, it's going to give you the color and you can change it. But what happens? Look at that. We changed the color okay, but if you look over here in the layers panel, it also changed our score lines to cut. And this is on saved projects, guys. This doesn't happen with the new projects we discovered, but it is with the saved projects. So let me just undo. You see my score lines are back. To change that without messing up your score lines, you click over here on the layers panel and then get that color. You notice that the multi-line is not there. Then you can change it and it does not affect your score lines. So right now, until they get a workaround, if you're changing a color on an existing project, change it, click on it in the layers panel, then go to your line type. If you change it in your line type, you are going to change your score lines to cuts. And then you have to go back, and I'll just show you if I change from multi-cut, and then I pick, let's see, let's go with a lighter color. And then I go to my, and hit score. See what happens? You can't change it that way. Won't work. You have to come over here line for line and change each one by clicking here and changing it back to score. So it's just easier to go over to the layers panel, click on it, and then go and change the color. Don't come up here. So just a little something that we discovered yesterday when I was doing these boxes. Did everybody catch that? Does anybody have any questions on the design space? Of course, you guys know that you can always ask your questions about design space at any time. Just put them in caps so we don't miss them. Yeah, I love adding the liner on this too. It just kind of finishes off the box and makes it look a little bit prettier. And I'll show that to you guys when we go back to the project camera. So that's how you size this one, and I'm just going to come over here to the next one. The actual size that I sized those two, guys, if you just want to group it and do it, the lid is 5.5 and the base is 6.5 by 6.305, and that's because of those little bump outs. So if you want to trim those off, you can. And then the frame is framed to 3.77, which is actually, if yours comes out odd, and the reason being is I probably bumped this, you can unlock it and change it to 3.75 and square it back up. I probably bumped that file at some point and caused that, but that's what it should be. And it should fit in there. You can always check it and see by changing it to another color, making sure it fits into your score lines. And you can see the selection lines. It fits in there, so that's right. So that's all you got to do. If it gets out of square, just change it. This one is square, 3.729 on the acetate. Now, once you go and you upload and grab your design and bring it in, when you bring it in, it's going to be large, and one's going to be facing one way, and you see mine, I've got one facing the other. I ungrouped them and I picked one, just pick one, whichever one that you want, and I flipped it horizontal so that I had one going in each direction. You can't just size it down if you're going to angle yours like I did. I angled mine a little bit to fit on the helmets better. To size it, if you want yours to fit like I did, you will need to rotate. And so this one comes in, you can see there's a 0 rotation on it. And in order for that to fit on this helmet in the position that I wanted it, I rotated it 14.53 degrees. And then I made it 3.201. So if I just don't rotate and make this 3.201, you can see there is a size difference. It's not much, but it's a little bit. But you can see that it hangs off right here. It's on the score line, but it's hanging off on the helmet. If you rotate it a little bit, then it will fit. So you can rotate it. And the reason I'm telling you this and doing it this way is if you want to flatten it, because these lids are within the print then cut area. So that's why I wanted to tell you guys what the rotation was, so that you could rotate it, fit it on the helmet, and then if you want to flatten this for a print and cut instead of doing just this and gluing it down, you can make this lid all one piece, especially if you're doing a ton of them for a party, like a birthday party, a team party, whatever your theme might be. The smaller box you can detach. Let me detach those score lines. Arrange, bring this to the front with it rotated in there where I want it. I can select all, I can flatten it, and I can literally print then cut my whole lid. I fold it, I tape it, I'm done. There's no fuss, no muss. So just in case you guys want the rotation on this one, I rotated this one 352.31, and that's because it's flipped. I know that sounds like a lot, but it isn't. It's like 8 point something or 7 point something if you don't flip it. So 352.31 is the rotation, and the size was 2.917, and that's on the width. Of course, it's going to group. And again, that's just because I wanted it right about here on the helmet. And again, you can detach this one and flatten it. But once you flatten, make sure that you arrange, send it to the back, select your score lines, align, center, and attach those back so that it will print, cut, and score. Did that make sense for everybody? Did I lose anybody? So that's all there is to changing that. I love that Kathy did print and cut on hers. I think she just printed the small piece here. But you can print and cut this box, the whole lid and everything. Which means that this one right here is in the print and cut area too. So if you wanted to print something in the bottom, like maybe the green with some white lines on it for the field so that it shows through, that would work perfect. So you can actually print and cut in the bottom of this one too. And that way the green would pop through on the, until you put your goodies in there. Little keepsake box that they can have for later. And then the third box we have. This one came out to be about 2 inches in height, and it's about 4 inches long. If you want more height on this, guys, all you're going to do is insert a shape, a square, and you're probably going to need an octagon, and you probably don't want to change the lid. And when you do these, the base ovals are smaller than the lid ovals so that you can tell them apart. But if you wanted to add a couple of inches in height on this and get a more of a height, all you're going to do is stretch this out. You're going to weld that. You're going to detach your score lines first, and then you're going to weld this on. Slice off a hexagon, octagon, what is it? Hexagon that I use. And just make it the length here. I believe the width of this hexagon is 0.533. in width. It's just over 1/2 inch wide. And that's just your glue tab. So as long as you've got, it doesn't matter how wide you get it, as long as it's wide enough to glue and that your score line stays right here at the same length, you'll be fine. And you're just going to weld that on and add that and weld it. Then attach your score lines back, and then you can make this box taller. Sure, we can go through that. To make this a print and cut, if we wanted to add this a print and cut, Elise, we've already sized this. Make sure that it fits on there like we want it. The first thing you've got to do is, because this is attached and grouped, you want to detach your score lines, okay? And then we're just going to slide them out of the way. We're going to arrange and move that to the back. Make sure that the part that you want to print and cut is on where you want it. You're going to select both pieces and you're going to come to the bottom right and flatten. And now it moves as one piece. It's flattened together. You can just flatten this, and this is just going to cut in this shape after it's flattened. All of these little pieces are not going to cut. They're just going to cut right around it after it prints. And then you're just going to glue that on. But if you want to do the whole lid with the colors, and the reason that print and cut, that's one of the reasons why a lot of people like print and cut for something like this. Let's select it all, align, center, and attach. It's because team colors, and let me just show you. Let's just go to say you wanted your team colors to be exact. You're going to want the hex colors. And right here, we'll just go right here on this one. These are your codes, and you can get the hex colors. So if you want the exact color of the Patriots blue on your box, you're going to come over here and let's detach everything. I want to detach that. I want to unflatten and move that guy out of the way. Then I am going to select right here. Going to, I want to change that back to cut. So now we're back on cut here. I'm going to select it. I'm going to go to advanced. I'm going to come down here at the bottom and I am going to paste in that hex code. It's going to change that color for me. And now I know I have the exact color of the New England Patriots blue. And here's a little clue, guys, for all of you that are doing Rams and Patriots themes. Their blues are identical. So we got an easy out this time. The blues for both are identical. They're the same colors. And this one, this right here, I know that this code right here is wrong, guys. Go to the actual NFL and get the color, because I know that's the wrong code. That's close, but it is wrong. I had a code in there, and I don't know if I used the same code, but I did on the uploads. The uploads are the right color. Yeah, Kathy on hers only did the logos. So you can just print and cut the logos, or you can unflatten them and you can cut those as well. So I unflatten it. There we go. And then I can change this back to cut simply by selecting it. And then you can ungroup these and you can cut them in pieces if you want, which is the way I did mine. I cut this in white, and then I cut this in the gold craft board, and then I cut that out of the same blue I did the box with and layered it. So there's lots of options with this. And you can even take the helmet out of there and change it completely if you want, just by getting the shape. We know it's 3.75. So I'm going to change that to 3.75. My score lines and everything are already detached. I'm going to select that. Oh, that's the overall size of the box. Oops. I think the opening was 3.5, 3.389. That's close enough. But I'm just going to select that square. I'm going to select the lid, align, center, slice. And I don't know why that's been happening to me, but it has. I think that's another glitch, Jamie. But when I slice on these, that's what's been happening. Let me get another square. And then we had that at 3.389, I think it was. If that happens to you, just get another square, align, center, and slice. Arrange, send it to the back, get your score lines and that, align, center, and attach. Now it's ready for you to weld whatever you want in there. Of course, you'll detach your score lines again first. So if you just wanted to put this guy in there, you're just going to size it up, tilt it into the box however you want it to be in there. This guy's kind of hard to do because of its shape. We can do it this way. Then you're just going to weld that shadow layer only in there. So you would actually change that back to it just doesn't. Oh, I forgot to unflatten it. Unflatten. Change it back to no fill so it goes back to cut. Ungroup it. And then I will pull these pieces away. Detach the score lines. Select them both. And flatten. Whatever color's on the bottom, usually that's what it changes to. See, that's really weird, Jamie. Oh, I didn't. Why did I hit flatten? I meant attach, weld. Weld. There we go. And it changes to the bottom color, guys. I am not liking all this move everything. There we go. So there you have that. And in this case, I would probably do a second shadow layer of white to get this to pop. But you can flatten all of this in there, however you guys want to do it. There we go. And then you can flatten this and add your lines back. Right, because this is very fine and it was iffy when I cut it, but I tried it anyway. So, you could flatten that in there and actually print this, not have to worry and fuss and muss with all of the little pieces and extra papers. You've got one sheet of paper is all you're using. Isn't it weird, Jamie? That happened to me yesterday too. And I'm using Chrome, so I don't know. But it did the exact same thing yesterday. I was doing some stuff and I was like, okay, well, I don't know why that's happening, but it did. So I think there's a little glitch in that too. So let's go ahead and put the box together. They're really quick, guys. Let's go over to the project camera. If you guys have any questions now, need me to repeat anything, just ask. And like I said, I embossed mine with the Ben-Day dots. Kathy did, I think it was basket weave. And like I said, 2 of these are the same size for the top and 2 are the same size for the bottom, and there is a size difference. And you can see one is smaller than the other. The smaller ones go to the bottom of the box. Okay. The 2 bands, one is wider. That is the bottom of the box. So start with the bottom. And you don't have to fold this tab, guys. That score line is your guide, and that's all it is. It's just a guideline. You want to fold all of these tabs down. I mean, this box really is quick. And then just a little bead of glue. And line that up on that score line. You don't want to be over. If you're over, your center is not going to fit. That was I did it on this one and had to pull it apart. This will be the back of your box or wherever you want it. If you decide you want it on the end, make sure that that's where you place it. And then I'm just going to take and just dab a little bit of glue on each one of these. Don't need a major amount, just enough to get it to stick. Put your seam where you want it, and then that's going to be the inside. It's got a little bit of texture. This is the brown tones of the cricut paper. You're just going to place that in the bottom with the seam where you want it. Just get it pressed down. Flip it over. Make sure my texture's in the right spot. And put the base on. I'm just going to flip mine over and kind of distribute that glue a little bit. And the base is done. You're going to do the exact same thing for the top. I went ahead and glued mine on there. And guys, there are, in Design Space, there are more laces. I wanted the curved ones, but if you want the straight ones, there are some in Design Space that are not curved. So you can just swap those out. All I did was size them up on the lid. I duplicated my lid piece, and then I sliced it so that it met up with the sides. And that's all you have to do if you choose a different logo. Same thing, we're going to bend all 20 tabs. That's just a guide. Line it right up on there. And again, same thing, just on the inside, just enough to get it to stick, because we're going to stick it down good with the second layer. You just want something to hold that piece in good. Line up where you want your tab, and I want mine at the back, and the piece without your logo on it. I want the texture up. Got my band to the back. Just going to pop that in. Oh, may have gotten off. Just, no, there it goes. And you can add a little more glue if you have a couple of them that are still popped up. Pay attention to your edges when you're putting the top and the bottom on. You don't want them to leave a gap. And this one I didn't, I wanted to see how it looked without running it through the Cuttlebug and embossing it. And I like them both. I really like the look of both. Mine's not quite dry yet. And line up your seams to the back. And it's done, guys. How cute is that little box? So there's one embossed, and there's one not embossed. And I like them both. So everybody get that, how those go together? And then this one, I didn't cut the logos for this, guys, because I just wanted to show you how the box went together. It goes together the same way the personalized box does. You're just going to fold every tab away from you. And I just cut this out of 80-pound cardstock for the small one. I didn't think craft board was needed for the small box. If you're just going to put a couple of cookies or something like that in there, or some candies, pretzels or popcorns, who knows, Rice Krispie treats. And then you're just going to put glue on your 4 tabs. And glue them to the inside, keeping the corners square. Quick and easy. Same thing with the lid. On this side, if you're using the one with the helmet and you didn't replace your image with something else, make sure that you take care bending that because it's not attached here at the front. And it can be a little tricky to bend because it's so small. You can use your spatula, you can use your bone folder to help you if you need it. And this one goes a little bit easier because you got that mass at the back of it. And same thing here, just be careful when you fold it. This would be so cute for Little League snacks too. And again, glue all 4 tabs. And then I use the Cricut foil acetate. I like the stars for these. And that's the wrong side. Don't forget to remove your plastic coating from this if you use the same thing. And then I am just going to use a tape runner, guys. I don't know where I put my scrap. And I'm just going to go around the edge. I don't want to, I used my mat for this because I don't want, that's very narrow there and my tape is wider. So. Just pop it in place. And then again, oops. I'm just going to take my tape runner on this as well. Ooh, stay on the mat. I need a new mat. Just get a little bit on there. If you have a Xyron sticker maker, you can, or Creative Station, you can run it through there as well. And that just kind of finishes off. And I was able to get both lids out of one sheet of paper on mine. The boxes, the bases though, you could only get one. And that's all there is to putting that one together. Putting your logo on it. Yeah, I like my little scraper for that too. I've got my big one handy. I didn't have my small one handy. It's over across the room. Yeah, it's great for takeaway, Sue. I mean, or if you're going to a party, you know, and you're taking something, then you can pop those in there and help add to the hostess table or for the kids' table. Does anybody have any other questions? Design Space, projects, any vinyl questions, anything at all? Yeah, well, I think that, aren't they discontinuing that, Jamie? Do you know? It's on clearance. I know it's 50% off. Use the link below, guys. Click on that link or the sales link in the group and grab that while you can. I've got several packs of it. Because I use it all the time. Even if they discontinue. I mean, I've used, hey Angel. I have tried I think it's We Are acetate. And it's just, I don't know. It comes in different colors and stuff, but it's so flimsy. I mean, it just flops. Compared to I'm picking both of them up, and this one's not flopping over, and this one is flopping over. Vast, vast, vast difference. So, I mean, you can find other brands, but they just don't compare. So is everybody good on how to resize that box? How to resize the football box if you need to? If you're not a Patreon, consider supporting, and you can get the both boxes. This one already sized, or you can make your own by the box that I gave you, resizing it. This is the exclusives. And again, this is the brown tone paper, guys, from my glue stopper. Sue got that for me. I'm not sure where she got it. I put a new pen on mine because my other pen, I bent it up so bad. But it just... really cute. I love it. I use it all the time. You can buy... if you have to replace your pens, you can buy pens. They're just in the jewelry making department. That's all it is. And I just cut mine off with scissors to a smaller point so it wouldn't bend so bad. The longer it is, the more it's going to bend. Yes, Elise, I do have a print and cut. I have one from where the original came out, but I'll be happy to go over it with you. Any image can be changed to a print and cut. Hey, Kathy. Slipped in on me there. What is it that you're not understanding, Elise, on the print and cut? Just going to go to a new project and switch over here so that we can show you guys. So we can go and we can search for any image. Let's grab this one. Let's grab this one. Let's grab that one. So you can bring, oh, I wanted to get that other one too. Where did that panda go? That's a good one. Okay. These are really good examples. Are you able to print from the computer first and then place it on the mat to cut? That's exactly how it's done. So what you want to do when you've got your image, let me just ungroup this and get rid of the envelopes. We don't need those. Okay, you can see that I ungrouped all of this. If I wanted it just to be that black and purple instead of all of that, if the card, it's in the print and cut area. Your print and cut area is 6.75 by 9.25. Anything over that, you will have to resize or go with a different option. But if I didn't want all these other colors in there, I can ungroup it and flatten it. First I have to detach my score line. It's going to let me. There we go. Get rid of that. So then I can select everything and I can flatten it. And then I can bring my score line back in and attach it, and that's ready to go for print and cut. That's all flatten does. But you have to flatten to a shape, because if I, like this one here, if I just hit flatten on that, well, it's not going to let me because it's a different type image. Let's see, shape, let me get a circle. Let me just change this to, I'm going to change it to blue so you guys can see it, so you'll know what I'm talking about. Arrange and send that to the back. Now, if I were to flatten this just like this and hit flatten, this is going to cut out individually. If you can see the grid line behind it, that is going to cut, okay? Everything around here is going to cut, all of this. And then this circle is going to cut instead of cutting out his nose because it's attached to something, okay? That's the thing to remember with your print and cut. You can't just print it unless it's flattened to something, especially wording, because if it isn't flattened, it's going to cut out each piece individually. So your printing really does no good if that happens. Hi, Marilee. Because you can cut it just out of black paper or whatever paper. So a lot of the times people are not flattening to an image and creating that background. So just remember, if you can see the grid behind it, those pieces are going to cut individually. If you can't see the grid behind it and it's flattened, like this one, can't see the grid behind that happy birthday, it's going to, let me just flatten all of this, get rid of this. It's going to print and cut the way that it's supposed to. So let's send those over to the mat. This one is flattened. You can see that it's in there. And wow, now we can move images. I think we have more glitches in this update than they realize we have. Because that is flattened to that card, and I was able to move it. Maybe I was moving the whole card. We weren't able to move those images before. Maybe we can now. What do you guys think? Let's try this one. Just going to hide that. I guess maybe you can move them slightly. I don't know. But when you're flatten, all it does is you're going to send it to your printer from here. Elise, right here. This is where I'm going to send that to my printer. And then I'm going to select the printer that I'm going to send it to and print. And I always use my advanced options, and I use my best print quality. And it's going to print on the paper just like that. So I'm going to select best, and I'm going to hit print. And just so you can see, I'm actually going to print this one. Yeah, that's kind of weird that I could move that. Let me turn on my Cricut. That will help. And I'm just printing this on copy paper, guys, so I don't know how well it's going to come out. Maybe kind of warpy because I selected best print. But on cardstock, it works just perfectly fine. No, it's not too bad. So, let me go over to the camera and show you how that printed. So here's the image, and it printed with the box around it. Then all you're going to do at that point is line it up on your mat, just like this. And my desk is a mess, guys, so I don't want you to judge me for that. Let's go over to my Cricut Maker. Let's see if I can turn that for you guys. Then you're just going to load the mat. And then we're going to select, I'm just going to select paper. Light cardstock will do. I'm not going to search for anything. And then I'm just going to press the button. I really do need a new mat. And it's going to read it from there. Now it's done reading. It knows where the image is at. So now it's going to cut. Yeah, I always use the advanced settings for my print and cut, Jamie, always. And now it has cut. So let's come back down here. And I'm just going to peel the paper away. That's still sticky enough for paper though, isn't it? And then you have your print and cut image. And that's how print and cut is done. That's all there is to it. And I can place that image on any card, front, whatever it is that you're doing it for. So if you're doing words for like a wedding invitation, you're going to flatten them to a panel so that that panel can be print and cut, and it's just going to cut the square. Because if I didn't flatten this together, then the celebrate would cut out and all of that. So you want to stack all your images, get them all together, put something behind it, flatten it, then send it over. Yes, there are lots of features to explore. And let me take you right back over to the design space to show you one more thing. So it's something that's very important. A lot of people don't understand about print and cut, and that's your bleed. Okay? The bleed is very important. Let me just cancel this. And let's okay, I've got text here and I flattened it. I can't flatten that guy. Let's just get rid of this. And let's unflatten this. Okay. I think that's the right scenario. And let's hit make it. I had to change all that back. Let's hit continue. And I hope that it'll show up because it's so small. And send to the printer. You see how that got blurry? Right here, it's not crisp anymore. How all of this got blurry? Because the bleed is on. Now I can take the bleed off and look how clear it gets. Woo, perfect, right? Guess what? That bleed is an indication that is where it is going to cut. So if you did not want this to cut out individually, you didn't want these letters on text to cut out individually, they are. And that's because those bleed lines are an indication. It's not crisp and clear. That's where it's going to cut, and that's so that you don't get a white edge. So if you want this to cut out each letter individually, it's perfect. If you don't, then you need to go back and do some more work to it. So let's cancel it. And now let's get a shape, a square. We can get rid of this one. And I'm just going to make this light blue so you can see it on the next screen. Arrange, send it to the back. Now I have that text and I have that, and I'm going to flatten it to the shape and hit make it. Looks perfect. Gonna hit continue. Gonna send it to my printer. My bleed is on and it's all nice, crisp and clear. When I turn the bleed off, you see only the square changed. And if I don't want a white edge on that square, I'm going to leave that bleed on, because it depends on how your calibration is set as to where that's going to cut. So leave your bleed on. The only time I ever turn bleed off is if I'm printing on clear stickers or I am printing on clear water slide. That's the only time that I turn that off. But your bleed is going to indicate if it's blurred, that's where it's going to cut. So if it blurs in the middle here, because I attached it or grouped it, whatever it is, something was missed, if you don't flatten it to that object, then it's going to cut that text out of your square and then cut the square. So if it's blurry in there, it's not attached right. It's not set up properly for print and cut. Did that help clear it up for you, Elise? Yeah. And Elise, don't let go of your score pal. I still use my score pal, especially when I'm designing. But you can go in here and you can set up something on your score pal and then go in here and create it in Design Space. So there's there's tons of things you can do, and you can do print and cut and all of that, and it will work for you. You can make it work. It just takes a little practice to learn everything. Okay, I hope that that cleared everything up for everybody. I'm glad you guys joined me. I appreciate it. I will see you on the next live on Monday. Don't know what we're going to do yet. And I still have some things in the works, guys. I know I haven't been popping out as many projects as I'd like, and I had some spare time today, so I wanted to share that with you guys. And in the next week or two, I will be showing you guys what I've been working on. So, you guys have a wonderful day. Thanks for sharing your Saturday with me, and I will see you on Monday. Thanks, moderators. Appreciate you guys. Thank you, Patreons.